Hey, welcome to Below the Skirt with Tamara. I am Tamara Green, pelvic rehab therapist, and I help women like you live your best life below the skirt. So hopefully you're ready to join me as we do some pelvic floor stretches. So let's get started. So if you can just find a place on the wall, on the floor, I'm recording. Go ahead and step out. I'm recording. Give me a few minutes. Gotta love it, kids. So find a place on the floor that you can get positioned. If you're unable, if getting on the floor is just a little too uncomfortable for you, you can always do this on your bed, but a firmer surface would be better. In the future, when you do these exercises, if the floor is a little too firm, you can always get a yoga mat, and the yoga mat will take some of that discomfort away that you may be having under those bony areas as you lie on the floor. So I will start with the first exercise. The first exercise I will start with will be standing up. So I'm going to stand up and then we're going to transition to sitting down. So with the pelvic floor, excuse me, and I don't have Virginia, she's in my car from work. But again, that pelvic floor, if you have some tightness, you want to be able to relax it. But connected to that pelvic floor, which is the pelvic bones, you have your legs. So stretching the legs of your hip muscles also will carry over with stretching the pelvic floor. So the first exercise I'm going to have you do, you are going to get to a wall. And hopefully you can see me positioned pretty good. I'm going to lean forward here while I'm down. So if I'm you, I'm down. If I'm you, I'm down here. I want you to turn your feet inward just a little bit. With your feet inward, and I'm lean forward. With me lean forward, I'm approximately about almost going towards a 90-degree angle. If you're unable to do this, you can always brace yourself up on something. It could be a counter or anything like that. So my feet are turned, they're turned inward. With my feet turned inward, which is turning my hips inward, I'm going to then, as I'm dropped forward, I'm going to shift one hip over, and you should feel a good stretch on the back of your leg, but also in your hip, and I'm going to hold it. So I'll hold this for maybe about 15 seconds. You can go up to 30 seconds, but you really want to really relax your pelvic floor. With you here, now I'm going to shift to the other side. Please close the door. Thank you. Close my door. You can stay in here. Close my door. Okay, now sit back down. All right, I'm shifting to the other side. Good, holding it. Same thing. Again. Holding for 15 seconds. So that's an exercise that you can do with stretching the outer hip area. Now, I'm going to lie down. With me lying down, you want to drop your leg open. So you're bringing your feet together just like this. So if you see me, my feet are going to be just like this, but we're going to lie down. If it's too uncomfortable to your back, you can always brace yourself up with a pillow of some sort. I'm going to use this basketball because I play basketball and I always have a basketball with me. So this is something that you can use. I'm going to brace myself here just as a little bit of support in the upper part of my thoracic area. And then I'm just going to relax my body and I'm just going to let my legs truly drop down. And I'm not sure if you can see me based on my little cell phone here. And I'm just letting my body go, and you're just really letting everything flow. So I'm holding it for about 15 seconds and just truly relax. And then I'm going to come back up. And then I'm going to relax, hold it for about 15 seconds. And you should really feel a good stretch, and you're really just letting your pelvic floor, your Virginia, just really relax. If you feel any tightness, or if you feel like you're just kind of holding on, you're clenching a little bit, just open up and just let it go. All right, so that's another exercise you can do. So I'm going to run through about 6 of them for you. All right, now another, you're going to pull your legs up towards you. Here, we call this a sleepy baby. So, like a sleepy, you can either hold it from this position here, you can either hold it just like this, just like a sleepy baby would be, and you're just really relaxing your body. I'm holding on the outer part of my ankles. Like I said, if you can't do it, you can always grab onto your knees. And another modified position would be, is you could have pillows underneath your legs if you say you have arthritis or you're unable to really support yourself. So with me being here, just truly relax here, and I'm just relaxing, and I'm almost like I'm going to actually push down. I'm going to either push out to have a bowel movement, push out passing gas, like you're going to push out having a baby, but you're just pushing out, and you should feel a bulge go downward. That's stretching the pelvic floor. Again, when you lift up, when you do a Kegel, that is strengthening the pelvic floor. Stretching is the opposite way, so it is it's almost different than you would think it would be. So taking your middle part of your area, and you're going to push down, bear down. 4, 5, I'm recording, and then let go. And then we're going to do it for another 15 seconds. Bear down, holding, and then let go. Again, that's for 15 seconds. So another exercise we can also do is keeping one leg straight. So for you to see how I'm in this position, one leg is going to be straight, and I'm down this way, and the opposite leg is going to come across. So that's what I'm doing, okay? So again, we're stretching the outer part of the hips. Again, these hips connect to the pelvic floor. So with me being here, taking this leg over, and just try to relax, dropping your leg over. Now, if when you do that, you feel like a pinchy feeling here, you may need to pull your leg up a little bit higher, and that may give you a little bit of relief. Again, that you may be having some impingement on the bottom part of your hip. Okay, hold on one second. I'm doing motherly duties. I need you to back up. Okay.
Letty just messed up.
They can hear you.
Just
Hush.
stop. Letty messed
Hold
up.
on one second. Step out of the room.
Just
Hold on.
Just cut it. Just cut it. It's already bad.
Go back up.
I want to come in.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that.
It's already bad though. You never see my name. Stop recording.
Alrighty. Apologize for that. Okay, so again, I'm taking this leg here and I'm bringing it over. Once I bring it over, I'm holding for about 15 seconds. Again, if you feel an impingement, you can always pull this leg up just a little bit higher. You should feel a stretch, making sure you're keeping the one leg down, the straight toes should be pointed up towards the ceiling. As you're dropping, you should really feel the outer part of the hip open up. And again, you would do the same thing for the other side. And make sure you're not rocking too much, keeping your hips flat as you drop your hip over. Really feel it stretching on the outer part. Okay, come back over. Now, you can also stretch the pelvic floor here. Cross your one leg over, keeping this one a little flat, and you're pulling this side, you're pulling your knee towards you. So again, it's like a figure 4. Take one foot, cross it over that one knee while the opposite knee is bent. Then you're going to lift the knee that's bent and foot that's on the floor, you're going to pull it up towards you. And you should feel a big stretch here. You may feel a little pinch in the front of your hip, but you should feel a good stretch all in this area. And the same thing on the other side. You'll cross your leg over. With you crossing your leg over here, I'm pulling back up. Same thing. I can go further. I'm just showing you just the position how you want. You should feel a stretch on the outer part. So the leg that you cross over is where you feel that stretch. And you hold. So any stretch that you do, you should maintain for at least 15 seconds up to 30 seconds. But anything less than a 15 second count is not doing you justice for doing the stretch. All right. Now, make sure I'm going in line with everything. You can flip over onto your hands and knees. Once I'm on my hands and knees, bringing myself arms straight ahead, and I'm just stretching back. So you separate your feet. So separating your feet, my legs are approximately this distance, a little bit more than shoulder width apart. With being a little bit shoulder width apart, my hands are straight ahead, and I'm just dropping back, and I'm just trying to pull my hips down towards my heels or in between my feet. Once I'm here, after you stretch a little bit, you may feel a little bind at the front of your hip bones, front part of your upper part of your thighs. But as you keep doing it, you'll feel it relax. And I'm really just kind of, and then when you do it, make sure you drop your head down to try to do the best stretch you can. You'll feel a bind in between your groin area, but just kind of settle down, take some deep breaths in, and really relax. This is like the biggest stretch that you can give for your pelvic floor. So we're going to hold for 15 seconds. And as you're here, try to bear down, like you're either going to try to have a bowel movement or you're going to push out air, but you're really trying to fall into that stretch. And you come back forward, and then you go back one more time for 15 seconds. And again, I'm bearing down. I should be almost like I'm pushing out air or pushing out a bowel movement, but that is elongating or lengthening the actual pelvic floor, which in actuality is a true stretch. Okay, we'll come back up. And now, what I'll have you do is if you're able to get into this position, if you're able to get into this position, you're going to come in more of a squatted position. Where we are here, you're just letting your body truly relax. Turn your feet out just a little bit with support. Sitting up tall, you can hold here for stability, but with your here, you're dropping down, dropping your pelvic floor down, chest up, and you should really open up your Virginia. You're going to bear down. With you bearing down, like you're putting pressure down, like you're going to push air out, have a bowel move, push your baby out. However, that is truly letting the pelvic floor lengthen. Truly letting the pelvic floor lengthen. Hold it for 15 seconds again at the minimum. And these are some really good stretches for the pelvic floor. Then when you come back up, kind of come out of it, and then you come back down, same thing. And I'm bearing down. And if it's too much, you can always kind of put your hips down if you can't hold that position. With you there, I'm bearing down in this position as I speak. And I'm holding for 15 seconds. Okay, so now I'm here. So I just gave you different positions that you could be in to allow a stretch of the pelvic floor. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different positions that you could be in to be able to stretch the pelvic. 4, 5, yeah, 6. Now, again, when you're doing pelvic floor stretching, depending on, you may or may not have a problem, but even if you do not have a problem, it is still good to really stretch the floor. It also allows you time to where you can, it's almost like having having some form of communication with your Virginia. Just you zoning in on her, you focusing on her. And again, in all these positions, try to bear down. Again, you don't necessarily have to, you're doing the stretches for the pelvic floor, but we're also trying to open up those outer hips too, because those outer hips, that flexibility, if it's tight for the outer hips, it's going to cause less flexibility of the pelvic floor. So you may say, well, how often should I be doing this, Tamara? You can be doing this depending if you feel like you need it, if you feel like you're tight, and you can tell if you're tight when you're doing certain movements. Make it a part of a day just to stretch once a day. Those 6 stretches of 15 seconds, ideally 30 would be great, but if you can't, 15 seconds, do it 2 or 3 times. That won't even take you 5 minutes out of your day. I believe you can take 5 minutes out of your day to give yourself self-care. If you could do it first thing in the morning, that would be great, because that would allow you to be refreshed, to be able to get it done. But if you can't, then do it in the evening before you go to bed. But just some way, definitely engage that. And I can tell, again, as y'all know, I speak a lot about yoga. When I was very active in yoga, it definitely, I could tell my hips were a lot more flexible. It was not as comfortable moving in different positions. And also too, when it came down to my sexual health, that pelvic floor lengthening, flexibility, hip mobility, flexibility, it definitely improved my sexual life too, because I was able to not have as many, I was not able to have any aches and pains with different movements that I may be encountered with intercourse. So just giving you some other options when it comes to sexual health, but it also for you when it comes to lengthening that floor, because flexibility is not only from a sexual component, but it's also from when you're like, say for instance, like putting in a tampon. Say you're having discomfort with putting in a tampon. You're putting in the tampon and it's uncomfortable, not necessarily uncomfortable from just inserting the tampon. It could be just in there. It just feels uncomfortable. Or if you're sitting on having a tampon and you have to sit down, it feels uncomfortable. Even if it's not even anything inserted there. Say you are just sitting down, it's uncomfortable there. Again, doing these stretches will help lengthen the pelvic floor, get some of those binds that you may not know, that pelvic floor or that hammock that I describe it as, that sits in between those bony prominence of the hip bones. It will definitely stretch out. So again, these are some tips you can do. Do you have to do them every day? No, but will it help you and maintain flexibility? It will. Will it prevent other issues possibly in the future? Yes, it will. So I definitely encourage you to do these stretches a few times a week. Again, give yourself 5 minutes a day. When you do it, make sure you do those 6 positions, holding them at least for 15 seconds, no more than 30 seconds, but no less than 15 seconds. So thank you for tuning in to Below the Skirt with Tamara. As I describe different pelvic floor stretches that you can do, I will definitely drop in my website information, as you may know. And if you don't know, then that will, in case you need any pelvic therapy or anything of that nature, you'll have the information that you need if you need any other further services. So it was good seeing you ladies as always. Have a good rest of the week. I look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday, same time, same place. And if you have not received your free ebook, definitely tune in and check it out. It's been great seeing you. Have a good evening.